There is a silent rhythm governing every square foot of your local grocery aisle. A hidden operational clock that dictates whether you walk out feeling like a victor or a victim of your own receipt. Most people grab a cart and drift through the store on autopilot, completely unaware that the staff behind the registers and in the back rooms are watching specific signals that reveal exactly who understands the game and who is merely a tourist. Aldi employees have a vault of operational intelligence locked away, not out of malice or corporate secrecy, but because the machinery of the store moves too fast for anyone to stop and explain it. We extracted the unvarnished truth from current floor staff and former management across multiple regions, and the resulting dossier contains 15 distinct advantages that the average shopper, particularly those on a fixed budget, will never stumble upon by chance. Some of these revelations will immediately trim your total at the register, while others will fundamentally rewire your perception of the fluorescent-lit aisles you thought you had memorized. 15. Staff members can profile your shopping IQ within the opening seconds of your arrival. Before you even reach the first produce crate, the experienced associate at the front end has already categorized you based on a series of visual cues that forecast your final financial efficiency. Are you the person who barrels straight toward the standard grocery shelves, ignoring the left wall entirely? Or do you instinctively pivot toward the limited-time aisle before your cart has even come to a full stop? The most proficient patrons enter with a specific trajectory. Their eyes sweep the red discount tags near the entryway threshold. Their hands rest upon reusable totes that are clean, unfolded, and arranged for maximum loading speed. They do not wander the perimeter like lost souls searching for a landmark. Conversely, the customers whom staff silently wince for are the ones who veer directly to the pantry staples without glancing at the weekly rotation, who hoist items without comparing unit costs, and who arrive at the checkout conveyor belt without a single bag, a vague mental checklist, or any awareness that the pricing landscape has shifted since last Sunday. The fiscal disparity between these two archetypes, carrying identical caloric or household volumes, is substantial. That delta appears on the screen shift after shift. Now you possess the awareness that the observation occurs. The next entry on our list reveals a specific trained behavior at the point of sale that happens so rapidly it exists outside the visual processing range of most patrons, yet it dictates your final bill. 14. Cashiers are engineered for a scanning velocity that is intentionally unmatched by human reaction time. The blistering pace at which items fly across the glass plate is not a happy accident of a well-caffeinated workforce. It is a quantitative metric, measured in items per minute, that sits on a formal evaluation report. This kinetic efficiency is the cornerstone of the low-price fortress. By condensing transaction time to a fraction of what a conventional supermarket requires, the operation slashes the labor cost embedded in every box of pasta and every carton of eggs. However, this mechanical swiftness creates a cognitive blind spot for the buyer. Watching the digital display for mismatches while simultaneously managing your payment method and corralling your goods is a feat of multitasking that the system is designed to overwhelm. Cashiers are not attempting to deceive you with speed. They are adhering to a standard that keeps the lights on and the shelf tags low. The strategic countermove here is price literacy. The shopper who knows the intended cost of a gallon of milk before it hits the laser beam is the shopper who retains agency. One veteran of the checkout trench confided, "I took immense pride in my cadence. It was a skill. But the handful of customers who kept their eyes locked on the monitor, those were the ones who occasionally saved $5 on a bottle of wine because the system hadn't flipped yet. The vast majority just stared at the payment terminal, waiting to be told how much they owed." Keep your head up. The blur of motion is not your adversary if you have done the reconnaissance. Arriving now at the baker's dozen mark is a secret concerning a temporal sweet spot that completely alters the texture and variety of your shopping haul. 13. The witching hour of Tuesday night into Wednesday dawn is when the entire store sheds its skin. Patrons see Wednesday as the unveiling of a fresh promotional flyer. Employees see the carnage and the rebirth that transpired in the silent hours when the automatic doors were locked. That overnight shift is an orchestral maneuver of resets. The middle aisle is purged of last week's novelties and replenished with goods that may vanish by Friday afternoon. The adhesive tags displaying the new fiscal architecture are pressed onto the shelves. Markdown assessments are made on items approaching their expiration curtain call. The building you enter on Wednesday morning is not the same building that existed at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. It has been scoured and recalibrated. By the time Friday evening rolls around, the edges of that pristine reset have begun to fray. By Sunday afternoon, the shelves bear the scars of a weekend brawl, and the items you hope to find from the ad are likely just a memory in a landfill or a freezer. Wednesday morning is not a mere suggestion. It is an invitation to experience the store in its only truly optimized state. The 12th insight deals with a simple adjustment in your unloading technique that transforms the checkout experience from a chaotic sprint into a seamless relay. 12. The arrangement of your merchandise on the rubber belt is a love letter or a declaration of war to the person wearing the Aldi uniform. These professionals manage hundreds of transactions with a rhythmic grace that borders on athletic. And the single greatest disruptor of that flow is the random, haphazard dumping of goods. When a customer places a bag of concrete mulch next to a sleeve of crackers and a delicate clamshell of raspberries, the cashier is forced into a micro-decision cascade. They must swivel, stack, and protect with an agility that interrupts the sensor's beam. It creates friction, errors, and a slower return to the bagging ledge. The shopper who groups items with intentionality, heavy cans and jugs at the vanguard, then boxed goods, and finally the soft bread and fragile produce bringing up the rear, is recognized instantly. This small act of pre-sorting costs you perhaps 20 extra seconds of loading but saves you minutes of fumbling at the back counter and, more importantly, earns a silent nod of gratitude from the employee who just handled your food with the care it deserves. It is a rare moment of synergy where courtesy and personal expediency converge perfectly. Before we descend further into the operational underbelly, if the map of the store is beginning to look different in your mind's eye, strike that thumbs-up icon now, because Entry 11 touches upon a shadow inventory that exists just beyond the swinging doors. 11. The coveted aisle of rotating treasures possesses a liminal zone where dented boxes and scuffed manuals go to be judged. Most customers see an empty shelf and assume extinction. The seasoned staff member knows that the supply chain is not always binary. Items arrive with minor transit wounds: a tear in the cardboard sleeve of an electric kettle, a crushed corner on a children's art easel box. The internal mechanism is pristine, but the cosmetic wrapper is imperfect. These items are not displayed alongside their pristine siblings at the premium price point. They are pulled to a holding pattern, often near the backroom or a discreet corner of the manager's oversight area. This is not a published warranty. It is a situational advantage predicated entirely on your willingness to inquire politely. I'm looking for the ceramic heater from 2 weeks ago. Do you happen to have any that are shelf-pulled due to box damage? The answer may be no. But the employees who have navigated the stockroom confirm that asking this specific question, especially for higher-dollar appliances and electronics, yields a discount that makes the minor aesthetic flaw irrelevant. Most shoppers walk away empty-handed and defeated. You now know that the absence of a product on the floor does not necessarily equal its absence from the building. Number 10 involves a silent, recurring glitch in the matrix that costs loyal patrons money they will never get back, and the remedy requires only a fraction of a second of focused attention. 10. Register price discrepancies are not rare anomalies. They are predictable byproducts of a high-velocity, low-margin system. Aldi honors a guarantee that makes them right when an error occurs. But employees are acutely aware of a gap in the enforcement of this guarantee. The price adjustment at the corporate level on a Tuesday night might take several hours to cascade down to the individual point-of-sale terminal on a Wednesday morning. A shelf tag may have been nudged 2 inches to the left by a hurried overnight stocker, leaving a premium cheese price sitting under a block of budget cheddar. The cashier is scanning a barcode. The computer is reciting a number. The disparity between that number and the tag you saw is invisible to the employee unless you speak. One former cashier described the reality with surgical precision. "I was never instructed to cover up a mistake, but my job was to process 60 people an hour. If you didn't notice the 10-cent difference on the frozen peas, I didn't have the bandwidth to stop the train, call a manager, and verify a tag for you. That's just the physics of the line." The guarantee is a weapon you must choose to wield. It does not activate automatically. Watch the monitor like a hawk during the scan sequence. Number 9 is a revelation about the provenance of what sits in the refrigerated coffin that will permanently alter your brand allegiances. 9. The staff understands the manufacturing geography of the store brand in ways the general public does not. This is not an industry secret whispered in shadowy loading docks. It is evident in the nutritional panel symmetry and the plant identification code stamped on the cardboard. Many of the proprietary labels sold under the Aldi umbrella are run on the identical production equipment, using near-identical ingredient streams as the national heavyweights that command triple the shelf space and double the price tag. Employees who previously worked in food production or packaging recognize the facility codes immediately. A former industry insider turned Aldi associate shared, "I stopped buying the expensive laundry detergent and the name-brand sour cream within my first 2 pay periods. It was the same stuff. I'd seen the vats. The only difference was the plastic tub it was poured into and the marketing budget behind it. When you select a private label item here, you are not opting for a lesser tier. You are often intercepting the exact same chemical and culinary composition mid-pipeline, merely dressed in a simpler coat." The 8th point is about the quarter. 8. That silver coin lodged in the cart handle is not a quirky European affectation. It is the keystone of an architectural labor model. The absence of cart corrals and dedicated retrieval personnel in the parking lot is not an oversight or a cost-cutting measure that degrades service. It is the intentional elimination of a significant liability and wage expense. The quarter deposit creates a behavioral contract. It incentivizes the return of the asset to the corral, thus eliminating the need for a staff member to spend 20% of their shift herding metal beasts from the far reaches of the asphalt. Staff members notice a direct correlation between the customers who abandon carts and the customers who grumble about the store's perceived quirks. They fail to connect the abandoned cart, which requires an employee to leave the register and waste time, with the slightly higher price that would be necessary to pay that employee's wage for that task. One associate noted, "Every cart that glides back into the chain under its own steam is a minute I can spend facing a shelf or helping someone find the German pickles. Every cart I have to drag back in the rain is a minute stolen from something useful. Return the cart. It is the most direct and honest contribution you can make to the ecosystem's pricing stability." 7 uncovers the precise window when the butcher case transforms into a bargain hunter's playground. 7. The markdown cadence on fresh protein is not an arbitrary act of goodwill. It follows the delivery schedule with the predictability of a lunar tide. Meat that is within 2 sunrises of its labeled sale date receives a fluorescent orange sticker and a price reduction that frequently reaches 50%. Staff members know exactly when this inspection and repricing occurs at their specific location, usually in the lull between the morning rush and the lunch crowd on the day before the new truck arrives. The product is not spoiled. It is merely entering a window where the store prefers a quick sale over a potential write-off. For a senior cooking for 1 or 2, this is a prime opportunity to secure premium cuts for the freezer. The specific day varies by zip code, but the pattern is universal. The employees can tell you the rhythm of your specific store if you simply articulate the question clearly. "Excuse me, I like to freeze extra meat for the month. When does your manager usually apply the fresh markdown stickers?" That single question, applied consistently, can reshape a monthly grocery budget. Number 6 concerns the space you cannot see. 6. Empty shelf space on the floor does not equate to an empty store in totality. The back room is not an infinite void, but it is a temporary holding tank. Especially in the hours immediately following a delivery, cases of the item you desire may be sitting on a pallet 20 feet from where you stand, awaiting the moment a staff member can break away from the register to tear open the plastic wrap. Because the crew is lean, nobody is idling back there awaiting your request. But the request is not an unreasonable imposition. An associate explained, "If I'm not actively ringing up a line of 6 people, I'd much rather take a minute to check the back for someone than stand there and stare at the wall. It breaks up the shift, and about half the time, the box is right there on the floor." The default answer from a passive observer is an internal no. The answer to a polite, direct inquiry is often a surprise, yes. Do not assume absence. 5 is about the temporary treasures. 5. Employees have the same psychological relationship with the fines aisle as a seasoned trader has with the stock ticker. They have witnessed the frenzy and the abandonment. They know the ceramic pumpkin dish that will be gone by 11 a.m. on launch day versus the yoga mat that will gather dust for 6 weeks. They see the patterns of desire, and when they shop for themselves, they do not hesitate. They have learned through painful experience that the unique item, the one that catches your eye and makes you think, "I'll sleep on it," will be in someone else's cart by the time you return from the parking lot. If you are standing in the aisle holding a German week specialty or a seasonal appliance that fits a genuine need, understand that the inventory is finite and the interest is often frenzied. The employee who wants it for themselves already bought it on their break. Take it now or accept that it belongs to the future. The fourth secret is about the power of your voice. 4. The feedback loop at Aldi is shorter and more responsive than at the sprawling bureaucratic empires that dominate the retail landscape. Most people assume that complaining to the teenager at the register is the end of the conversation. It is not. The corporate structure is famously lean, which means a complaint lodged through the official website or the mobile application travels a short distance to the desk of someone who can actually authorize a change. A former assistant manager recalled, "We got a printout of the weekly feedback. If 3 different people complained about the same thing, say the avocados were always rock hard or the entrance mat was always bunched up, it was fixed by the next shift, not by next quarter, by Wednesday." For a senior who has a specific recurring frustration with the layout or stock of their neighborhood location, this is a powerful tool. You are not screaming into the void. You are writing a note that a manager is required to read. That is leverage. Number 3 is about the return policy you are probably misinterpreting. 3. The twice as nice guarantee is not a negotiation. It is a reflex. Employees are drilled to process these returns with 0 friction. There is no interrogation. There is no judgment about whether you ate 90% of the bag of chips before deciding they were too salty. The policy exists to eliminate the psychological barrier that prevents customers from trying new, cheaper items. Yet paradoxically, the demographic that could most benefit from this safety net, older adults on a fixed income, utilizes it the least. There is a generational reluctance to return anything, a sense of shame or a fear of being perceived as difficult. Staff members consistently note that they process these refunds without a second thought. You bring the package or receipt, you state your dissatisfaction, and you receive your money back and a replacement item. It is not a test of character. It is a business expense budgeted for your satisfaction. Use it. Number 2 is a philosophical shift. 2. The Aldi operational model is a pact. It is not a series of annoying obstacles to be endured. It is a transparent trade-off. You bag your own items. You fetch your own cart. You accept a curated selection instead of 50 types of ketchup. In exchange for those small, active participations, the store hands back the savings in the form of lower shelf prices. The employees who thrive in that environment understand this equilibrium. They see the customer who grasps this concept as a partner. That customer doesn't roll their eyes at the fast scanning. They meet it with an organized wallet and a watchful eye. They don't complain about the cart deposit. They see it as the reason the parking lot is clear and the bread is cheap. One tenured staff member captured the essence of it. The ones who get it are the ones who are almost happy to be part of the process. You can see it in their posture. They're not victims of Aldi. They're members of it. Adopting that mental stance changes the entire choreography of the trip. And finally, number 1. 1. The staff actually wants to guide you toward the hidden value. This is the unifying theme that underpins every other point on this extensive list. In a retail climate often characterized by apathy and burnout, the Aldi workforce retains a distinct pride in the value proposition of their own store. They are paid well for the industry. They are trained on every station from freezer to front end. They know where the clearance shelf is hiding this week because they moved it themselves. They know which chocolate bar is a dead ringer for the European import because they eat it on their break. The knowledge is there, fermenting just beneath the surface of a rushed transaction. The only barrier to accessing that internal database is the simple human act of inquiry. Is there a section for items with damaged boxes? When is the best time to catch the meat markdowns? I saw this pasta sauce last month. Is it gone for the season? Asking these questions is not an inconvenience. It is an invitation for the employee to engage in the part of the job that doesn't involve wiping down a belt or sweeping crumbs. It allows them to be an expert, and most people genuinely enjoy being an expert. So walk through those sliding doors not as a passive consumer, but as an informed participant in the system. Look them in the eye, ask the smart question, and shop the store the way the people who keep it running shop it themselves. If this deep dive into the operational soul of the store has reframed your next grocery run, we invite you to express that appreciation with a click of approval below and a subscription to my channel. The screen is already populating with the next installment of practical wisdom designed to sharpen your edge in the aisles. You will want to see what we uncovered next.